Hey everybody, welcome back to MPQ Mastery, where we teach you to destroy more gems. It's been slow going here, but we're going to keep bringing you videos soon. I've been having a lot of fun playing this game recently with the new Misty character being released. I just got some Legion covers finally. There's some great things coming out, and I can't wait for what's coming from this game. It's going to be great. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about today was I continuously get a lot of questions about what is the best 2-star team. So I wanted to make this video to kind of set it in stone that I actually do believe that the best 2-star team is the 2-star Magneto, 2-star Hawkeye, and 2-star Storm. Unlike some of the teams that I go over here, there's not a ton of like really complex strategy and whatnot, but I do find that these three characters are the ones that synergize the best. So let's go through each of the characters. We'll talk about what each of them contributes to the team. Then we'll talk about a little bit of the strategy and some of the downfalls. So let's do that. So let's start off with Storm. Her yellow power, Raging Tempest, is passive. That's just if any of the teammates get hit with a big hit, she's going to do some damage to the enemy team. It doesn't necessarily come into play all that often, and the reason for that is because the threshold for how much damage they have to take before it sets off, I think, is a little bit on the high side. So it does get used some, but it's just not as often as I would like. Her other two powers, though, are the ones that you'll end up actually using. The green power is Lightning Storm destroys some tiles over the board and does damage for them. Just whenever you have enough green, she's the only one with an active green on this team. Just go ahead and throw it off. It's good. Unless you have some quick arrows on the board, and we'll talk about that in a second. Her blue power, Windstorm, though, that's kind of the crux of this team. It's so good, and one of the other characters actually helps to feed into this one because it's also a little bit on the expensive side. But Windstorm, that's the thing. That's what you want. Windstorm, it's going to stun the main person that it hits, but then do damage to the whole team. So it's definitely worth it. So again, it's nothing super complicated when it comes to this makeup of Storm. The next member of the team is Hawkeye, and he is on the team primarily for his purple ability. If you saw my ranking of the 2-star characters, I ranked him very high because of his 2-star ability. It's called Speed Shot, and essentially whenever you would make a 5 match, it's going to put a certain number of counters on the board that when they hit 0, he hits for a bunch. It's a really cool passive power that doesn't come up all the time if you don't make it happen, but that's actually what the third character, Magneto, is kind of for this team. He also has his blue ability, Electric Arrow, which puts a countdown tile on the board, and when it hits 0, it stuns and also destroys a bunch of the enemy AP, so that's pretty cool. You won't end up using it. All the blue is going to end up going over to Storm. Then there's Blast Arrow, which puts a countdown, and when it hits 0, it's going to hit the enemy team for a bunch of damage. I actually do end up using this one a bit. This one and Magneto's red are kind of, I flip-flop between them, so it's all based on like the current strategy. The last character, 2-star Magneto, I really like this costume. This was the costume of when Magneto was a hero and he was like actually a teacher at Xavier's Academy. So I've always kind of dug that costume. Anyway, he is also purple, red, and blue along with Hawkeye, so that does mean that there's a couple of dead colors here, but we'll deal with that after this. His blue power, Iron Hammer, it won't come into play. I would say that if you're going to use any blue power, use Storms. If Storm for some reason is knocked out, go ahead and use Hawkeye's. It destroys the enemy AP. I think it's better too for the kind of setup that this team has. His red power is called Magnetic Flux, and that one's a cool one because he puts a tile on the board. When it hits 0, it destroys a block. All the way up to the whole board, but usually I don't have it at level 5. So that's actually a really cool power because what it does is it destroys those, does damage, and accumulates that AP, which most powers that destroy tiles don't generate AP, so it's actually cool that his does. His last power is the whole reason that this team exists, and is called Polarity Shift, and he is able to turn up to 3 select tiles to blue, and then some random ones to red. With doing that, it basically creates this whole thing. So he's creating more blue and red tiles. So the blue and the red, I mean, essentially it's created so that he can be a little bit of an insular character because his other powers are blue and red. But what it also does is it helps to feed Storm's big ability. So the strategy with this team is pretty simple, honestly. You want to start immediately getting as much blue and purple as you can. You want to feed purple for Magneto so that he can use polarity shift, and you want to feed Storm's blue, her Storm Wind. And by feeding Magneto's polarity shift, he's going to create more blues to feed into Storm, so it's good. The other thing that polarity shift does is it allows you to create 5 matches on the spot. So you're immediately feeding into Storm's blue power and creating the capability for Hawkeye to get off his quick shots. So that's essentially the strategy there. And then whenever you get any green, enough green, you want to use Storm's green ability. That'll destroy some tiles on the board. Again, this was kind of where I was talking about the strategy with using this team, is that as soon as there are speed shot tiles on the board, you don't necessarily want to use a bunch of stuff that's going to destroy the tiles, because it's all random with these characters. So you might not want to use the red power from Magneto, because it might put the tile right next to a bunch of your quick shots, and it's just going to destroy them before they go off. You don't want to use Storm's green lightning ability, because that might also randomly destroy some of your speed shots. And for the blue ability and the red ability, honestly, anything that Magneto has, because it just destroys tons of stuff, I would make sure that the speed shots are at least at like a 1 on the countdown before you would use those, because a lot of the time, depending upon your level, you might have to wait 2 to 3 turns before his things take place. So that's fine. Obviously, there are a couple of drawbacks to this team. The main one being black is a dead color. Obviously, the other one being it's all 2-star characters. And the other problem would be that anytime that you would match either a green or a yellow, Storm is going to end up going to the front. So a lot of the time, I end up just avoiding those colors, because she is consistently just weaker, body, like HP-wise, because that's kind of the character. She's kind of a glass tiger. But in this case, it's actually, you want her to get hit, because then that's how her power activates a lot, but also if she gets hit too much, then she'll get downed early, and then you'll be like, oh, well, I have all this stuff to feed into her blue, but what do I do with it now? And the other drawbacks, again, are kind of you needing to time things a little bit better, because the speed shots are there, you don't want to destroy them, which means you might not be using your powers as often as you could, but that's why you get to save up, 30 AP of a certain color. Just save it up until it's safe to use, but it does kind of impede a little bit of the usability. But hopefully you guys use this team. This is the best of the 2-star teams that I have seen, but I'm really interested in what 2-star team do you guys use? If you're already using this one, kudos. But if you use a different one, explain to me the strategy of your 2-star team, because I want to know what the other combos and stuff that there can be. I've tried a lot, but this is the one I'm like, this one works for me always, and it's super easy, and lots of synergy. That's what I go for on this channel, lots of synergy. But yes, let's continue that discussion down in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you always know when MPQ Mastery puts out a new video. Also consider becoming a YouTube member. That really helps us out, and we have been struggling a little bit here to get videos out, but more YouTube members would probably help with that, I'm just saying. Otherwise, thank you for coming to MPQ Mastery. Go destroy some gems.